What's up, world of internet? This is the Fitness Reborn podcast. My name is Sean from Renaissance Fitness Personal Training, where we put movement ahead of workouts. And my guest today is Sarai Majak. I think, yep, okay, I got a acknowledgement from her that I said that correctly. I did have to practice a few times. Sarai Majak. Sarai is a health and hope coach, and she's got a pretty incredible story here. I do follow her on social media quite a bit, so she does post a lot of her background and her story on her social media pages. She's had an incredible backstory about weight loss and health recovery, and she does the same for her own clients. So she does this for people, what she has done for herself. And today we are going to hear her story from Sarai herself. So Sarai, thanks for coming on.
Yes, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate this opportunity to share my story and just get it out there. And I love sharing it and love telling people about it. So, not just my story, but just the fact that I know it's helped so many other people as well. So, I'll just jump right in. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of give a little background about where I came into
Yeah.
this journey of my health and how it has really transformed my life or really changed the trajectory of my life completely, honestly. Um, so I'll kind of backstory, go way back, kind of back to my childhood and how important health, I think health and wellness has always kind of been important to me, and exercise and things like that. Um, as a kid, I was always very active. We lived out on a farm and had a very active childhood, playing in the creek and just, anything that we could do on the farm as kids, on
Right.
jumping around on trees and whatever. I mean, we were wild children. So I had a lot of activity then in my life, and I was never really had any issues with my health because my parents were super healthy. I grew up in a home where they were vegetarians. I don't think I shared that with you before.
No, I never knew
Yeah.
that about you.
So I kind of grew up in an ultra healthy environment as far as like my parents were really into eating really healthy and great nutrition. So I would say the first 10 to 15 years of my life, I had amazing nutrition, okay, in my body. So I never had health problems as a kid. I hardly ever got sick. And I think I can attribute that to the childhood that I was brought up in and the way that my parents lived and just, very active people themselves. I mean, my dad ran 12 miles a day. I mean, he was just, they were just really healthy people. So that background, and into my teens, I of course went out for sports and was very active in softball in my early teens, and then as I got into high school, I played volleyball, and I was always really into fitness and loved the aspect of learning about fitness, and played sports, ran track. I was not what you would call a super athlete by any
Hmm.
means. I mean, I did average. But maybe if I had gone, because I have a lot of athletes in my family, maybe if I had gone and started sports earlier on and stayed consistently with all of the sports, I might have been up there. So, because I was super interested in it. And I've always been really interested in health and well-being. And I think that was the background of my parents kind of raising me that way, just gave me that.
Hmm.
And then as I got into I would say as I graduated high school, I didn't really do a whole lot of weight training as far as weightlifting or strength training in high school, just the stuff that they usually do for track or volleyball that your coaches tell you you've got to do this. And I didn't really understand form or any of that. It was honestly just
Right.
this minuscule little weight training stuff, and I had really not a whole lot of knowledge about it. But then as I graduated high school in my early 20s, I got pregnant at a young age with my firstborn. I was only 20 when I had him. So that kind of changed my whole life in a lot of ways. And when I say my health is I gained 60 pounds with him. Okay. So that
Hmm.
was pretty significant. No one really, I was young. So I was young when I got pregnant, single mother, struggling a little bit, went to nursing school as when he was a toddler. But when I got pregnant with him, like I said, I gained 60 pounds. And I would honestly say that's where my initial health journey started with gaining weight that I didn't realize. Hopefully you can't hear my dog in the back.
Well,
Gaining weight.
I can hear him, but it's not a big deal.
Okay, I have him on the porch. so I wouldn't hear him if he started barking at something because he likes to bark at everything that walks by. Sorry.
It's okay. It's
Um,
okay. It's just background
but
noise.
yeah, so I gained a significant amount of weight, and not one doctor when I was pregnant with him, or even, no one around me really told me how I should have been eating when I was pregnant. So I didn't fully understand it, and I really didn't work out much when I was pregnant with him, and I really did. So that part of my journey was kind of tough on me. Plus, I was a single mom, so that bit of a struggle of being feeling abandoned, being alone. I mean, I lived with my parents, so I had that support. I had a lot of family support, but not the father was not involved with my son at all. So that was a real struggle for me, and a lot of it was emotional. And as we all know, putting on weight can be an emotional thing. Obviously, a lot of it's mindset. So at that time in my life, I probably didn't really think a whole lot about what I was doing when I was pregnant. And so when I had my son, I had this extra 60 pounds on my body, which stayed on my body, most of it, maybe not 60, but close to it for quite a while. Um, and then as he was a toddler, I went to nursing school. And at this time in my life, I was just gradually learning, teaching myself, in my early 20s, a little bit more about like reading different things about health, and fitness. And I was really kind of veering more toward the fitness arena as far as like trying to get the weight off. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'd try different things. And I did lose a little bit of weight prior to going to nursing school the first time, because I had my LPN before I got my RN. You probably don't know that either. I worked as an LPN for 10 years before I went back to school and got my RN. And I did that, went to college having a toddler, and I feel like I've overcome so many things. But during that time frame, I was really getting into the whole fitness aspect of, okay, how can I get this weight off with just working out? Because I really didn't understand then, even though I was brought up with good nutrition, I didn't understand then that honestly, a lot of it was 80% nutrition about what I was
Hmm.
putting in my body. But I was just doing all these workouts and trying all these things. And of course, reading different fitness gurus or different health, people that have, Denise Austin, I'll use her as an example. I really got into her books and getting into her things. So I did lose a little bit of weight just doing those things, and kind of incorporating more workouts into my life, walking, step aerobics, different things like that. And so over those early 20s in my life, I did lose some of that weight just doing that. But I didn't fully understand the nutrition aspect of it as far as, like really changing that in my life. Um, so fast forward just a little bit, and then in my mid 20s, I kind of went through another traumatic event. I got married at about 25, and within a year, my ex-husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, and he walked out on me. So just up and left. And so that was one of those times in my life where I still had a little excess weight on my body. I was still not really where I wanted to be in my health, and I lost probably about 25 pounds in just over a month, and that wasn't the healthy way. I mean, I was depressed, I was
Right.
anxious, I could hardly sleep. So
Mm.
eating was kind of like out of the, I just didn't care too much. So I was literally eating the equivalent of a bowl of cereal a day, and I drank water, but I lost a lot of weight. So I lost it in an unhealthy way, but I did get down to what I would consider what the weight I wanted to be, but not the way that
Right.
I should have done it. And then going further, I ended up a couple years later getting married, meeting my children's husband or my children's father, sorry. And I got married, and we had our kids. And again, I had gained some weight with pregnancy, not terrible, not like the first time, but maybe a little extra 20 pounds or something. And so with my last child, I'm just kind of fast forwarding here where I got, I would go work out through those years in my early to mid 20 or mid 20s to late 20s. I would go work out at the gym, and I'd be working out an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Okay. And then I would, generally eat pretty healthy. And I'm not saying I didn't have a lot of muscle mass on my body, but I really wasn't I still wasn't where I wanted to be. And then with having my last child, I still had kind of like an extra 20 pounds on my body that I just, no matter what I would do with these workouts and with, like I said, generally eating healthy, what I thought was optimal nutrition, I just wasn't getting off that extra. bit of weight. So,
So just clarify right now. So or were you at a healthy weight even though you didn't get those extra 20 pounds off, or was it just like these 20 pounds
no,
weren't there
because
prior to the pregnancy? I just don't want them
right. So I wasn't so when I had gotten pregnant with, would be my second child, my 18-year-old now, but when I had gotten pregnant with him, with my ex-husband, who's the father of my of my three children that I, still live at home, um, I I had gained weight with them, not terribly. Like I said, it was not like the 60 pounds that I gained with my first child, but because I knew a
there.
little bit more then. I knew a little bit more about, hey, maybe I shouldn't eat, uh, you know, canned peaches and drink chocolate milk like it's going out of style again, with this pregnancy. So I was a lot better. And I also worked out during my pregnancies with
Okay.
those three children. So I knew a little bit better. I didn't gain the kind of weight. It was more like 30 pounds or the average that most pregnant women gain.
Hmm.
But as you get older, we all know this, I was what they call I don't know if you'd call it the elderly pregnant woman or whatever they term it in maternal child services, because I was 36 when I got pregnant with my 12-year-old, my youngest. So,
Hmm.
the weight didn't come off quite as good with that one as it had with the two previous ones. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So,
Yeah.
even though prior to meeting my ex-husband, the one, I had been at my weight that I wanted to be, but then again, getting pregnant with three kids after that consecutively, and for women, hormones play a big role. Um, it can get more difficult after each pregnancy sometimes to get that extra weight off, and especially if your kids are, I mean, my kids are about 3 years spaced apart, 3 or 4 years, so it's not like they were a year and a half or something apart, but it still takes time, about 2 years or so to get that body back. And so then if you're getting pregnant not too long after that, it just can kind of compound after a while and you don't necessarily get the weight off as well as you might have. So some of that just kind of sticks with you.
Hmm.
Um, and hormones play a role there. They don't help much with women for women. But so yeah, I would say that during that time frame, I was prior to getting pregnant with my 18-year-old, I was at a healthy weight, but then, it kind of just came back on again and
Yeah.
still had those extra little bit of pounds to lose. And I just seemed like no matter what I did, I just couldn't get them off. And I just didn't realize, I didn't make the mind connection with a lot of this until I was introduced to the program that I coach, which I would say that was back in 2014. My cousin Shauna, who lives in Texas, Austin, Texas, she was coaching this as well. And she still is a coach, but she just does it just as a more of a fun thing on the side because she has another business she runs. But she knew that somehow she found out, and I can't even remember the whole aspect of that or how she knew, but we were pretty close, so somehow she knew that I had weight that I wanted to get off, and I was frustrated with it. And she says, "Hey, I want to tell you about this program I've been coaching, and I just want to introduce you to it and just see what you think. It might be a right fit for you." So I thought, yeah, why not? I'm trying all this other stuff. It's not really working. So she introduced me to it. I decided to give it a try, and I lost 19.6 pounds in 6 weeks. And so that's where my health journey began with how I became a coach, kind of back then. Um, again, I didn't take it as I took my weight loss seriously. And of course, I was sold and absolutely, not just
Hmm.
about the weight, but just about how I felt and the energy that I had.
Right.
And just learning new habits and being able to incorporate those habits in my life. That's the part that literally changed my life to where I'm at today. Um, and so I couldn't wait to share it with everybody. But at that time in my life, I was also going through some other personal issues. And I just really, for me, I didn't take the coaching aspect as serious back then. And I kind of let it go by the wayside. And then fast forward to 2020, I was reintroduced to this by a friend of mine on Facebook who thought I would be an amazing coach. And crazy thing is, it's always just been a passion of mine to help others, and it was in the back of my mind that I kind of wanted to get back into that coaching stuff again. And then she reached out to me. And so I felt like it was just sort of like, this is meant to be because I was
Hmm.
already thinking about it. And she reached out to me. And then I got started on that again with coaching. And my journey began again with that. But I had always, over those years, I'd managed to keep that weight off and integrate all those habits that I learned and the tools I had to continue through those years and um, stay in optimal health, for myself. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't have battles here and there once in a while, as we all do, go through maybe a little bit of health changes, and as you know, like hormones can mess with you
Mm.
too in those ways. But um, generally speaking, I've been pretty healthy, and I feel like I've managed to. What I love about the whole aspect of what I do and what I've learned over the years is just being able to incorporate these habits and continue to utilize them, and that's what I've been able to do all these years. So that's my backstory. It's a lot.
It's
That's
okay. I
generally
mean,
how.
no, the backstories tend to be a lot. It tends to be a journey, and
Hmm.
like you've said before, like you've got some years behind you, you've got some experience, and so what I want to go now into. So we touched on the program and what it is you do. So now, when you sent me this information about your program, the one that you work in as a wellness coach, so
Yeah,
there's a 4 component program here. Seems like
correct.
these four little bullet points, or these 4 pillars, is what kind of comprises what it is you do for your clients here. So, well, okay, one, let's go through what is the name of the program, and then let's go through the 4 components of it and talk
Okay.
about and kind of elaborate what it is, those things, how they apply to your clients, how they can apply to whoever signs on,
Right, right.
and what it does for them.
Absolutely. I would love to share that. So, what this program is called is Optavia. And I would say Optavia, we are a Fortune 500 company. We are currently the top leading health company in the nation. And we also are in Singapore and Japan. But ironically, only about 2% of people know about us. That that's just the crazy thing is here we're so huge, and only about 2% of people know about us. I don't know if you've ever heard of Optavia, Sean.
I
Um,
mean, not that I can think
recall.
of. No.
That's okay. And like I said, there are so many people that don't really know about us and know what we're all about. A lot of people might think, okay, they're just another one of these. Oh, it's a diet, and that's one thing that we're not. We are not a diet. We are holistic. We take a holistic approach to health, and that's where the
Mm.
4 components come in. We find them all equally important and vital to someone's health and how they really reach optimal health, okay, and well-being. Um, Anyone can go on a diet. I mean, anyone can say to themselves, okay, tomorrow I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stop eating this, I'm gonna stop eating that. But what I find is that many people struggle with, for one thing, they don't have the tools. Many people
Yeah.
don't have the tools and understanding what actual optimal nutrition or what nutrition, functional nutrition, or whatever you might say, is really about. Because so many people are exposed to this, our standard American diet, which you've mentioned that before in one of your posts, and I commented on it because I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah,
the
in
standard
a very
American diet.
crass, sarcastic way. Yes, I
Yes,
did.
right. Right. But the standard American diet, I mean, all of us are so exposed to this on a regular basis, and the temptation is out there for so many people. And I think we just we don't have a lot of people just don't have the tools and the support to really change their lives and change the way that they live in any aspect with their health, whether it's
Right.
nutrition, mindset, whatever. They just don't know where to begin even. I was there once. I didn't know where to start. I mean, that's honestly the truth of it all. And what I love about this and having the 4 components and how they're all so equally important is that it's, like I said, a holistic approach. Our clients get the full, aspects of it all. So I'll go into like the first component would be a coach. So, our clients get the one-on-one coaching where we're walking with our clients side by side through their entire journey from start to finish and until they transition into maintenance. And we are checking in with them weekly. We are checking in with them that first week. We're checking in when they start on program. We're checking in with them, the every day that first week for about the first 4 to 5 days and checking in how are they feeling, what's their energy like, bouncing the ball back and forth with, asking them the questions of, I could give some examples, but if a client is struggling with one specific thing and they've told us that, because we do a health assessment with our clients prior to getting them, because we need to know where they're at in their health, what they want to accomplish. So
Right.
we are going to ask them these questions in their health assessment, and we're going to find out what is it that is their primary concern? What is their primary thing they're struggling with? And we're going to go through that with them in great detail, and we're going to really dig deep with them throughout their journey. If they tell me that their biggest struggle is that they're addicted to food, I'm going to steer them in the direction of where that food addiction problem is and what could be causing it. What is the basis? So a lot of it's mental, I mean, most of it is mental, and getting them just to kind of really think about what that is. And so, as a coach, that's what I'm doing. I'm supporting them. I'm steering them. I'm asking them the questions to steer them in the direction to really think about what it is that has got them where they are
Mhm.
and what it is they want to accomplish. What do they want to create in their health? What do they want to change? What's the biggest thing that is
Right. One thing I wanted to get your input on because it's just suddenly
Sure.
occurred to me because you have people who say they have food addictions, which generally translates into I eat bad food when I'm in
Yeah,
a bad mood. So
right.
so now there is people out there to try to coach people to say, well, your food addiction, let's try to rechannel it into eating something healthier as opposed to not eating at all. So
Right.
I'm kind of wondering, is that in your opinion, is that an effective kind of strategy in order to deal with a food addiction, or is it just like because either way, I mean, not to say that a Twinkie is the same as an apple, it obviously is not, but either way, you're ingesting extra calories. If you're following a diet plan, a nutrition regimen, and if you're trying to lose weight, which is just it's a process of thermodynamics. You have to it's calories in, calories out. I hate that phrase. It's oversimplifying, but I'll use it for our purposes here. Um,
Right.
Either way, you're ingesting extra calories here, and that's going to backfire on you if you're trying to keep your calories down to try to take weight off you or take fat or try to engage fat loss.
Right.
So, do you find that as a valuable or a valid alternative, or is it just
Uh,
it's like no, you got to recognize that this food addiction is something else. This is something you were looking for a pacifier another way, and you're trying to put something in your
oh
mouth.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you brought that up because that is super important. Food addiction really has to do with a mental issue, like you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about there. You can sit and eat a pile of, you know, vegetables. I mean, they're going to be better for you.
Right.
But if the reason a person is eating them is because they're eating out of emotion or they're eating out of, you know, they got a bad phone call from somebody in their family that chewed them out on the phone, and they get off the phone, they're like, I'm just going to eat a whole bag of carrots. I mean, granted, the carrots are going to be better for you than eating
Yeah.
a bag of chips, but it's the mindset behind it, or I know we use mindset a lot, and I hear a lot of people talk about it in health coaches and all different areas of health.
Yeah.
But it's true that if we have to channel that, and we have to get to the root of the problem. We have to get down to the root of the problem. What is causing that emotion? So one of the elements of health that we teach, actually, or that we steer our clients toward, it's one of our elements, is about mastering your thoughts and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not just food addiction, but mastering those thoughts and emotions and getting at the root cause of why are what is the emotion here? What is pushing me to, overeat no matter what it is that I'm eating? Because you could sit down and eat, okay, so yes, granted, the standard American diet is terrible, but to sit down and have a treat once in a while, a small slice of cake.
Right.
Can I just eat that one small little piece of cake? Because, I've reached that point where I can in my life. I can do that. I can cut a small sliver of dark chocolate cake and be like, that's all I need. But someone with a food addiction, it's not going to matter whether it's cake or, a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of apples in front of them. If they are overeating, they need to get we need to dig deep and figure out what is causing that emotion. Maybe it's childhood trauma. Maybe it's something that happened to them in their childhood, and they really need to dig deep on that and figure that out and really get to that root cause and get those emotions under control. And
Right.
so, I'm no therapist by any means. I'm just a health coach, but I can steer them in the direction of, hey, maybe this is something that if you've never had therapy, I might say to one of my clients, maybe this is something to consider. Maybe you need to go a little deeper into this and figure out what is this food addiction? Where is it coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something they're not even aware of. It could be
Okay.
something that they didn't even realize happened to them as a child, and they may need to go further into that. So, I mean, we can steer them in the right direction to get into this element of mastering your thoughts and emotions. And then another element that we have is also about food addiction. So we would steer them to read into that. We have a diary, we call it a life book, that all of these elements are in there, the 26 elements of health, and those people can go into, our clients can go into that and just, they can map out what they're feeling right then, why they're feeling that way. And they can go back then after they've been doing this for so many months. It's kind of nice to go back and see, hey, where was I back then? Why was I feeling this way? And so we always we use the phrase, or Dr. A, he's our co-founder of Optavia, Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, but he uses the stop, challenge, choose. So, that's kind of where we will steer our clients to, is like, okay, I'm going to stop and think about why I'm choosing this, or am I going to choose this? If I go to a birthday party and I'm trying to watch my weight, or I'm trying to get some weight off, and they've got all these snacks and we got cake and everything else, can I put myself into that position? If someone has a food addiction, can they do that at first? Or should they maybe avoid those situations for a while until they get that food addiction under control a little bit better?
Right.
If that makes sense. Am I
Yeah.
answering some of that? I just feel like a lot of
Yeah.
it is, it really, I think it does matter. I don't think it's good to tell somebody, in my opinion, and we wouldn't, definitely wouldn't. I think portion control is super important.
Yeah.
So we steer our clients into portion control and understanding that I don't need to have, we teach about the 9-inch plate and how, half of it should be maybe low glycemic vegetables, and then maybe like some sort of grain, or some sort of complex carbohydrate in one place over here that's, and then over here is maybe your fruit or something like that. Or I mean your fruit in one corner, and then
Mm.
like your protein. So we teach about the 9-inch plate, and I think it's super important for people to relearn, maybe something, not even relearn, maybe it's something they never even were ever taught as a child. I mean, I feel like I have friends who have children that they've never taught them about portion control, and they've never even understood as kids how to have portion control. They just kind of eat mindlessly. We call it
Yeah.
mindless eating.
Right.
And then, you know, did that answer some of that?
Yeah. No, it did. It was just because I understand that this area of fitness is probably the most puzzling that there is. Everyone understands, the strength training. Everyone understands the reps and that kind of stuff, and the sets and the recoveries and stuff like that. I mean, that's very tangible stuff, very easily digestible. But getting the food right, I mean, hence why you have all these companies that have sprouted up that do your food for you. You got HelloFresh, you got Trifecta, all these meal prepping um, services out there that kind of just take all that worry out for you. It's like, well, because I've gone to several of their websites, never actually bought the service, but I've gone to several of their websites, and they say, they make it very easy. What are you looking for? How much are you looking for? Are you vegan? Are you carnivore? Are you whatever? And they just make it very easy, which is a great service. But they make it very easy to kind of surrender your nutrition over to them, and just accept whatever, or just order whatever they send you over in a box. So I know from in myself too, like the nutrition thing has been the hardest thing ever for me. I've never really had weight issues, but still, like getting that nutrition to the point where I want to see the kind of gains that I want to see, that has been the hardest thing for me. So I just want to know where you stood on that, and where your program stands on that. If you consider like just kind of rerouting somebody's food addiction into some place a little bit more nutritious, or kind of tackling that demon head on.
Yeah, so we do, because now, mind you, when we have clients who are starting on program, because we have many different programs within our program, and I didn't really emphasize on that, but I probably should tell you that we coach people who, when I do a health assessment, I'm finding out what medications are they on, what
Right.
conditions do they currently have, because I don't want to steer them in the wrong direction and put them on the wrong program if it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
We have one for diabetics. We have one for teens. We have one for people that need to gain weight. We have one for nursing mothers. Um, and we have our general one, which just is it kind of encompasses so many different people that are just generally need to really get that excess fat and weight off in maybe somebody with heart disease or heart issues or are really severely obese that really need to get that weight down in
Hmm.
a really quick, not quick, but shall I say efficient manner, that really gets the fat loss off, but also keeps them motivated.
Yeah.
So, but through that nutrition plan or process, we are guiding them in how they're learning as they go in how to learn about the 9-inch plate, how to um, make their own meals and prep their own meals that are healthy and understanding, we teach, well, we do what's called a lean and green meal, and we're teaching them, what it looks like to eat healthy and use portion control. And that's what they're learning, one of their habits that they're learning as time goes on, because I do feel like nutrition is the biggest piece. Like you said, I see it all the time. I mean, you can go to the gym and watch, you can see these people who are working. I mean,
Hmm.
you see the people that are working out and they're like killing themselves on the treadmill. Or, I mean, there's some of that they don't maybe don't even understand about strength and all the other things that you need to incorporate. But I feel like nutrition is the key piece that's missing in almost every aspect, because nutrition, I firmly believe, is the healing factor or the key element that could bring a person be healthy, to
Yeah.
be generally healthy and not have to prevent disease, but if they have disease, to also halt that disease or maybe even stop it completely and just or slow it down.
Mm.
I do believe that nutrition is medicine, that it's
Right.
honestly the key element missing. And I do think a lot of people struggle. I think that is where we see that all the time, that people, I don't know what to make. I don't know, and they have busy lives. So a
Hmm.
lot of our clients have very, very hectic, busy lives, and they don't know how to prep meals very well or prepare themselves to eat healthy. So it's so much easier to just drive through McDonald's
Right. Right. For
or,
sure.
or like you said, order these. And I don't know a whole lot about these different ones that you're talking about. I've heard of them, a few of them, but how fresh is the food really? I mean, I'm just wondering, like, anytime you take something that you get via
Well,
delivered, how,
right. Well, obviously, it's not that fresh. I mean, it's as fresh as it possibly could be and still be safe for the consumer.
yeah,
So, but obviously, yeah,
yeah,
it's not as fresh as saying going right from your stove to your plate. It's not that type of fresh. It is still wrapped in plastic, you know.
yeah,
And like I said, I'm sure that they're meeting all of the federal government guidelines about transporting of food. You know,
right,
I'm sure they're doing all that they know they should be doing. But still, yeah,
right,
you're right. It's not. It's really not as fresh. It's certainly not as fresh as like going from the garden to the plate. You know, that whole thing that was big back in the day. That was a movement. Remember? I don't know if you remember it
yep,
at all, but garden to the
yeah.
plate.
Garden, and
Or
it's still kind of a
yeah.
thing. I mean, I actually have a fellow health coach that's a friend of mine, and her name's Rhiannon, and she and her husband live out on an acreage now, and that they do a lot of that farm to table or farm to plate. They've been
Yeah,
growing their
farm
own
to table.
produce. I wish I had the area to do that, but I don't, because I would. I grew up that way. I mean, I grew up that way.
Right,
Um,
right,
but yeah, I do think nutrition is, I mean, that's what we are coaching,
right.
is nutrition is the key element to health, honestly. And one, I haven't gotten into the other elements, and it won't take me to, or the components, but I will get into
Well,
that. But I will say what, if you don't, oh, you have a question, sorry.
no, no. I was just like, I'm just trying to keep tally here. So okay, so we got the first component is the coach. Obviously, that's a
Coach, yeah.
coaching program.
And I've kind
So
of got,
right, and so two, and we kind of segued into the emotion
yeah.
mindset
So our
about
second,
recognizing
yeah,
recognizing where you are and what's going on. Okay, so to
yeah.
Did we hit a third one? I don't know if we did yet.
Well, the second one, yeah, is that mindset part, yeah, the
Okay.
emotions and
Right.
just the habits of
Okay.
health, and I've kind of touched on that. So that's super important. Like I said, we teach, or I shouldn't say teach, but guide our clients through 26 elements of health, and
Right.
we have weekly lives that we call it Coffee with Clients
Yeah.
on Monday mornings that our clients can go to on Facebook and watch these about whatever it is that they're touching on that element that day. And they are recorded, so our clients can go back on later if they didn't get the chance to get on. So it's really nice for that component, going after. And I would say honestly, I just want to touch a little bit on the mindset aspect of
Hmm.
that second one. Is for me, I would say that was the biggest thing for me that has really changed my life is just really because I struggle with emotions. That was my
Hmm.
like letting people control my emotions or um, whatever's going on in my life, and I had a hard time managing that and understanding that. But now I have the tools. I can
Right.
go into that, and I have the tools to be able to get those under control. And that's been the biggest. I think the biggest thing for me. I get kind of emotional about it because it honestly has changed my life for that a lot of different programs don't offer this. They don't offer these things. So our third component is our community, and that's
Hmm.
another it's just a way of support besides having the coach that all of our clients can go to this community. They can see other people's transformations, see their stories. They just share recipes on this community, and only our clients get sent to it. We have another community that every person I've talked to about, and I would send you to it too, just to show you if you wanted to get on there, Sean. It's for anybody, but we call health and wholeness. But this other community is one we send our clients to that's called Transforming My Life. And we just have so many people sharing their stories and they support one another. It's kind of like having a support system that's outside of maybe most of our clients obviously don't know these people, but they can get on there and just share. And some people don't want to get on there and share. I mean, I've had lots of clients that are very private people. I tend to attract the private people clients that don't really want to share their story too much. They've done amazing on program. They've done amazing in their transformation and their health story, but they're scared to share it. But what's awesome about this community, it's just a community of like-minded individuals, and they have that for the rest of their life. That never goes away. So this is just, it's kind of like having any community. I think community is so important
Hmm.
for people to, well, keep each other accountable for one thing. That's one thing about
Right.
being a coach is that what's helped me keep my own health in check is I've got this community of coaches and we're all cheering each other on and we're all keeping each other accountable in our own health. It's like, hey, are you doing this too? You're telling your clients to do this. Are you doing it? And so we're kind of like
Right.
keeping each other accountable. And I think that community is so important for that. And having the right surroundings. I just want to touch on that because I meant to say something about that earlier, but I feel like that's another thing that clients really struggle with is I think I heard you talking with one of your interviews just recently about our surroundings and how, it's honestly one of the key things that affects people's lives. I think you said something in one of your interviews. I think I just listened to it the other day, one of your podcast interviews about what is a person coming home to? I mean, if they're living in this environment that's really toxic, their
Hmm.
family or their spouse or whatever the environment, they need an outlet for that, but they need a healthy outlet, not an outlet that's toxic and even more, they don't need to be going to the bar and drinking a bunch of alcohol. What they need is an environment of people who are supportive, encouraging, uplifting, but also holding them accountable to their
Hmm.
health and to their well-being. That's that's a surrounding that whatever people should be more involved with. And sometimes that means maybe the people in our lives, if they're that toxic, we need to distance ourselves from some of those people or some of those
Right.
things in our lives, right? And so we kind of guide our clients toward that too. And so that community is just awesome. They share recipes on there too. So again, if we're talking about nutrition and people are struggling with, well, I don't know what to make. Well, our community, they're sharing all kinds of recipes on there and options for them to choose from that are super simple and easy to make. And you can prep them ahead of time and they're healthy. So, and a lot of our coaches get on that website or get on that page as well and share their comments, and they cheer the people on too. So they have that as well. So I like that. And then our fourth component is obviously our nutrition piece, which I've kind of talked tiny bit about, but not really. But we utilize what's called fuelings, and they are packaged foods, but they are all nutritionally balanced with prebiotics, probiotics, all the vitamins and minerals that someone would need in a day. So most of our clients, we don't even recommend that and this is obviously the nutrition piece is to get them where they need to be. It's not to be on it for the rest of their lives. This is something that we are, like if somebody's really struggling, like I said, somebody's 50 pounds or more overweight, the nutrition piece is going to get them in an effective fat burn, get them where they need to be in their weight, and then go from there. We're teaching them along the way how to transition off and what to do in maintenance. And they're learning all these habits and learning all these things about how to eat properly so that when they do transition off and get into maintenance, they have those tools and know how to do it. So, but it's real food. They're all nutritionally balanced and they're clean. So and there are over 200 different ones to choose from. So I know I can see the look on your face there, Sean. You've got a question about it.
Well, I always got questions. So, all right. So you said that they are not meant to be on this program for life. So it's meant to. Right. It's
right.
not. That's not the goal, which I think is an admirable goal because I do know that the pressure to retain and to kind of make people dependent on you and your services in the fitness and wellness industry, at least as far as I've experienced, is pretty tremendous. And I've always kind of rebelled against that. I was like, I don't want people to be codependent on me. I want to make stronger people. I don't want to make weaker people. So that's kind of been where I've stood on that. And sometimes that's bit me in the butt, but I think that's still the best way to actually conduct yourself if you are a health and fitness and wellness coach. But when you have someone who is now into maintenance, which means that they are now at a place now where they're comfortable, and they just want to stay there. They don't want to go any further, and so now they're off the program.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had, or let me ask you? So, how often do people, if they do at all, how often do they kind of fall off the wagon?
Okay. Yeah, very good question because that does happen. And
the reason why I ask is because if people are listening to this and they're considering this program, so if we ask what causes people to kind of lose their way and go back to their old ways, this can be something that they can know to look out for when they go into the maintenance program. When they go into the maintenance.
So here's what I would say: the number one reason people fall off the wagon is they are not utilizing. And I've had clients like this. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
Right.
We know that. So when we introduce this to a client and they get started and everything, if they are not doing weekly check-ins with me, super important. They need to be checking in with me every week. And it's a 10-minute call. Me seeing, how are we doing? How are you doing? What are you struggling with this week? So when clients aren't checking in every week, even if they lose the weight that they want to, like I said, anybody can go on a diet. A diet is a diet. But this is life. This is for life. This is lifelong transformation, meaning this is lifelong habits, and we're learning, becoming the dominant force in your own life. That's what we talk about, becoming the dominant force. And what you're talking about, hey, how can somebody get to the point where, they're not dependent? We don't want them dependent on us. I'm not I'm their coach. I'm not their savior or whatever. I'm not this person that can rescue them. They have to find that within themselves, and that's the point of this. This is self-discovery. I've got to figure out within myself how to become strong, the dominant force in my life, in every aspect of my life, in every aspect of my health. Will they fall off the wagon? Heck yeah, I've fallen off the wagon. But here's the thing. When they learn the tools and they're following this and doing this 100%, they're 100% integrated into this, and they know this is what they want. They know their why. Why are they
Yeah.
doing this? They understand. So we reach out to them in the beginning and say, what is your why?
Hmm.
Why do you want this? Because if someone doesn't have a strong enough why, they're not going to, they can lose the weight, but if they go into maintenance, they may go right back to all of their same old habits because they have to have a strong enough why and they have to want it. That they want this for their life. They want longevity. They want to
Right.
live
Okay.
the rest of their life in optimal health. Now, will they fall off? Yes. None of us are perfect. It's a learning experience. I'm a work in progress, but they know if they understand the tools and they're utilizing all the habits of health and they are have their life book or they have the tools that they need and they've got this, they've got the community, they've got support, people in their lives that are backing them up, they'll be able to be successful. Because even if they fall off for, I don't know, a summer or whatever, and they gain back 10 pounds or something, they know where to go. They have the tools and they've already learned these habits, so they know what to do going forward. And if they don't remember, or I should say they don't remember, if they feel like they need more support, then that's when they reach out and say, hey, I had one client do this. She's a friend of mine just recently. She's like, I have not gained back a bunch of weight, but I've kind of packed on maybe about 5 more pounds and I know what I need to do. So she's reached out to me and I've kind of just guided her a little bit and got her back on track. Um, but honestly, if they are fully integrated into the four components, that's the most important thing right there that we emphasize all the time with our clients. It's not just, okay, I'm just gonna, take this one route and I'm just gonna do the fuelings and I'm just gonna do the diet piece, or should say diet, but the nutrition piece, and that's all I'm gonna do. If that's all they do, if they follow it 100% on that aspect, they will lose the weight. But they will go right back to, if they don't change their habits, if they don't do that and incorporate those habits, then they will not they will kind of fall off the wagon more often. And we see it, honestly, we usually see that in the first month or two on program.
Hmm.
I'm seeing that they're not checking in with me. I'm having to reach out more to them and say, hey, what's going on? And they're kind of, how do I want to put it? It's not, and I'm not trying to put a negative spin on them or anything like that, but it's kind of like they're just saying, they don't want to be honest about what's going on. And I mean, and I'm no judge. I'm not there to judge them. I'm there to support them. So if they're not reaching out, I can't help them, you know? And so it's
Hmm.
really a matter of how bad does somebody want it? What have they decided is their why? And I kind of remind them a lot of times too, hey, you told me when I did this health assessment with you that this is what you wanted to accomplish. You know, where are you on that now? What has changed since then? If I kind of can tell that they're sort of falling off the wagon and they're not. And that's why we do weekly check-ins. We do weekly weigh-ins too. Or if, we can always tell kind of that when a client is sort of falling off the wagon and they're not really being forthright with us. And we try to, dig into that a little bit. But yeah, when they're in maintenance, I would say if they are doing the four components and they are living that and they're doing and really, following the habits of health and made those changes, they will continue to be successful in maintenance. You know, like I said, none of us are perfect, so we're all gonna kind of maybe at some point fall off the wagon just a little bit, but it's getting back on track and knowing, okay, I'm not back where I was when I started. I just fell back just a tiny bit, but I know how to get back on. If that makes sense.
Right. What's your why, Saray?
My why for optimal being healthy, or
What's your
just
why? What's your why in general? Because you've been doing this. You've been doing this for a minute now, and so
yes,
you've come a long distance from where you were.
yeah,
You got rid
yeah.
of the weight that you wanted to get rid of, but obviously that wasn't the why. Because if you did, you would just said, "Cool, peace." But here you are, and
Here I am.
now you're steering people in the same direction, or at least a similar direction. You're continuing a service that was done for you for others. This is kind of similar to what like Alcoholics Anonymous kind of does for people. It's
Yeah,
like they
yeah,
instill this sense of service into people. And this is how they kind of build these cult like followings, because this is how people kind of get so enmeshed into this world. They were in a dark place. this community brought them out of it, and now the community has said, okay, it's your turn to pay it forward.
Right.
And so, obviously the what is to get sober, or the what in your case is to get healthy. But as you
Yep.
just said, that's not a why. That you just told me what. You're not telling me why you want to lose all this weight. So, but now the weight's gone. So I don't think the why in your case was the weight. But here you are still, and we're having this conversation about this service that you believe so much in and you love so much. So what's your why?
Oh gosh, yeah, good questions. You really kind of dig in there. I would say my why is for my kids. I want them to see what's possible. Sorry.
You're fine.
I want them to see to see what their mother has accomplished and to see what is possible for their life in every aspect of their health. Um, my why is for the people in my life that I love to not only see what's possible in their health, but to also see what's possible, you know, well, yeah, their health, their mindset, and things like that, but to see um, how their life can literally be completely different. They don't have to stay stuck. They don't have to, well, I'll just use this as an example. If you don't mind me mentioning my 18-year-old son, he's been
No.
struggling a lot with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety kind of runs in my family. I'm one of them. But he's been struggling over the last year of his senior year of high school, and he kind of kept it to himself a lot. But he came to me a couple months back, and I knew he was struggling in high school, but he came to me a couple months back and just said, Mom, I just really struggle with this anxiety to the point where some days I just don't want to be here anymore. And boy, that's the worst thing a parent wants to hear, you know? And I said, oh gosh, I don't want that for you. So some of the tools I've learned in this being a coach is kind of getting people back to that the way they think and just how can I change where my mind is going with this and sort of refocus or change the pathways in my brain to instead of thinking obsessing about this one thought that's what he was struggling with, right? I kind of gave him a little bit of tips and kind of steered him in that direction. And honestly, it made him feel a lot better. And he's been doing so much better because he's been kind of finding ways that he can get his mind off of the obsessive thoughts and things like that because he didn't really want to get on medication or any of that. Sorry, I got emotional, but you know, he
You wouldn't be
just
the first.
it's just one of those things that's my
Mm-hmm.
why. That is what I want to
Sure.
see people's lives. Um, I have a passion for seeing people's lives, for them to reach their to be their best selves, basically, to finally get to that point in life. And nobody's going to be perfect, but just to get to that point in life where they really feel like their lives have been changed. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my why. I think I've always been interested in that. And helping others. It's just part of who I am. I'm a nurse too, so it's kind of
Yeah.
part of my who I am. I've just always been a person who sees value, and I want people to feel like they have value and worth. And my other why, as far as the coaching aspect goes, I just want to. I'm not a conventional person. I don't want to just. I'm not okay with just things being the status quo. I want to go. I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of things I want to do with my life. I want to, see the world. I want, there's just so many different things that I want to accomplish, and so many things that I want my children to see that they are capable of doing the same thing, even if it's not in my, arena or whatever I'm doing. I don't mean that I want them
Right.
to do what I'm doing, but I want them to see that they can do that too. It's possible for them to do whatever it is that they want to live out their dreams. And I think those are probably my whys. So it's not just about health, but that transcends into health, really, in your mental status and just having the best life possible that you can possibly live. I guess that's where I'm at.
So where to from here?
Okay, so where to from here? Oh boy. Um, just continuing. I really would like to get to the point where my, coaching business would get to the point where it really takes over. That's what I do. Like that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing because, I work weekend package as a nurse. And so I have
Mm-hmm.
some free time during the week to focus on this business, but I've been doing it just over 3 years. And I would like to get to the point, and I'm working towards that, where I get to the point where this is what I do. And then kind of another dream I have is to have a coffee shop. But that's it doesn't really match.
I've entertained that one myself too, because I'm a huge, you want to talk about addiction, I'm a huge coffee addict here.
Yeah, me too. That is my one addiction. I will say that
Yeah,
coffee and chocolate, those are my two downfalls in life when it comes to
right.
that. But I do. I mean, it won't leave me. I feel like when you have a passion about something, or when you have something that just never leaves and it's always there, you should do it. It's when we ignore those things that we're just ignoring what really is probably something that we should be doing. Um, it wouldn't be there in our minds. It wouldn't be there constantly if it wasn't something we shouldn't go for. So I'm a
Mm-hmm.
firm believer in that, and I would like to get to the point where this is what I do, is that I walk people through their health, and if that trans or goes into, okay, I'm also going to have a coffee shop, well, then that's what's going to happen. I have plans in my mind for that too, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
We have a closing tradition on this program
Okay.
where the guest has the final word. All right. So, these episodes tend to go on for an hour on average, sometimes a bit more. And so a lot gets discussed here. So we talked about you, we talked about the program here. If we can try to maybe condense some of it into maybe one or two sentences. So when people walk away from this episode, if they can remember nothing else, if they can remember one thing, if nothing else, what would you say it would be?
Boy.
Your parting
Hmm.
message.
You are worth it. You are worth whatever it is in your life that you want to accomplish in your, mental, physical, spiritual well-being. You're worthy. You have that uh, inherent worth to be what you choose to be and what you want to be with your life. And I guess that would be my message I would send, is that I think everybody's worth that and they should go for it.
Sarai, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Sean. I appreciate it.
No, no, it was a
Have a great
blast.
day.
Yeah.
Juneteenth. That's a good one too.
Yeah, yeah. Today
A
is
good one
Juneteenth.
too.
It's a
Something
good
to,
time to celebrate. It's a good
yes,
occasion to celebrate being free,
freedom.
controlling your destiny, self-actualization,
Yes,
self-realization. Yep, it's a good day. It's a good day for it. So this was a great occasion to have this conversation right here. And
right.
for everyone that's listening right now, I'll get contact information from Sarai. I'll put it in the show notes. I always do this. I always make very easy links to the people that I interview. In case you want to reach out, in case you want to get involved in the program that Sarai has been doing for so long now, and as we all have seen, she feels very passionately about it. So, yeah, it's really about all there is. And
Okay.
Sarai, this has been Sarai Majak, still practicing. Sarai Majak, health and hope coach, improving people's lives, daydreamer, as we all are, as we should be. I know I have been all my life a daydreamer. And
Yep.
I think that's probably what makes the world better. It's just daydreaming of better times. But anyway, rambling on here. Thanks so much, Sarai. Thanks for everyone who's listening, to everyone who will listen. Until next time, move forever. Peace.